To the Laffertys, to everybody here at Penn Machine, thank you very much for having us. I'm just in awe of the skill and the technology and what it is you do here. And so just as Pat was saying, what we're focused on in Congress is making sure that we can have good jobs in this country, making sure that people can get good jobs that pay them well, making sure that people can get a good job that pays them well so they can raise a good family and have a great life. I mean, that really is the American dream. This idea of America, the condition of your birth does not, should not, and will not determine the outcome of your life, is this beautiful idea that we always have to nurture and we always have to preserve, we always have to fight for. And so one of the ways we think we can help better fight for this American idea, this dream, is tax reform. Now, how do you make that work? Let me explain. Charlie Lafferty started this business in 1931, correct? And then his son took it over, and his son and nephews are working, and cousins, and I met some McGuires, and I got a sense there's some more cousins here, and you've got 180 good-paying jobs here in an industry that is really globally competitive. And so here's why tax reform matters to us. Here's why it matters to you. This business is taxed on a good year at about 40%. 40 cents out of every dollar is taxed. But when you're competing against companies like China, which this business does, they're taxed no higher than 25%. When you're competing against maybe a company in Ireland that does the same thing, they're taxed at 12.5%. Overseas, which where I come from means Lake Superior. I come from Wisconsin. We're taxed, Wisconsin's taxed, Canada's taxed at 15%. The point I'm trying to make is the rest of the world, on average, taxes their businesses at 22.5%. Yet a company like this is taxed at least at 40%. Our corporations are taxed at 35%. And when we tax our businesses, our manufacturers at much, much, much higher tax rates than our foreign competitors tax theirs, they win, we lose. We're losing jobs, we're losing competitiveness. And so what we want to do is get these tax rates down so our American jobs, especially in manufacturing, can compete in this global economy. And that means if they can compete, they can get more jobs, they can get more accounts, and they can raise wages. Wouldn't you like to see that happen here? That's the whole idea here. And the way we want to encourage more businesses to do better in Wisconsin and in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania and all over the country is I take a look around here, I see that BTB machine. I see that Gosiger robot machine over there made in Dayton, Ohio. I see a lot of capital here. When you buy that machine, you have to write it off over a period of years. It's not really easy to do. So what we're saying in the tax reform bill, we're saying is get the tax rates down on this business to 25%, drop that tax rate 40%, and then if you're going to buy machines that you're going to then hire people to run those machines, like these CNC machines, write it off the year it takes place. Fully expense it. You know why we want to do that? Because you'll do it then. It'll be easier for Penn Machine to buy more equipment, to hire more workers, to get more jobs, and we could see this replicate throughout the economy. And speaking of the economy, this economy has so far to go to hit its potential. We haven't had an economy that has grown at 3% in almost a decade. And that means wages sort of stagnate. That means benefits eat out more and more of your paycheck. And when it comes to taxing people, we want to make sure that the middle class get a tax cut. People in this country, so many people are living paycheck to paycheck, or they're worried about, saving for college for their kids or saving for retirement or buying a house. So we really believe it's time to give the middle class a break. We really believe it's time to give businesses like this the better ability to compete on the world stage. And we really think it's time to give businesses an incentive to expand, to buy and invest in their businesses so they buy and invest in their people so we can get this economy growing faster, so we can get wages growing faster. We really believe that the time to fix this is now. The U.S. tax system really is basically the worst in the industrialized world. And when we do this to ourselves, when we tell a business, if you sell something overseas, you're just telling me you're sending products all over the world. When you sell products overseas and you want to bring the money back from selling that product, you get taxed again in America to do it. And we're the only people who do this. There's about $3 trillion of money in other countries that should come back to this country to be reinvested in this country that is not because of our goofy tax laws. And so this is an issue we've got to tackle. This is something that we're in the middle of doing right now because we want the economy to take off. We want the middle class to expand. We want paychecks to get bigger. We want jobs to be more frequent. And we want people coming out of school with a career, with a vocation, with opportunity. We want the country to be confident. And so that's why we're talking about what we're talking about. That's why we're doing what we're doing. And I've just got to say one more point. The people in Congress who work on this issue are dedicated people. And there's this one committee that will be writing this legislation I'm talking about. It's called the House Ways and Means Committee. It's in charge of all our tax laws. And I would argue some of the most gifted men and women in Congress are on this committee. And you just need to know how fortunate you are to have this man, Pat Meehan, who is a member of that committee, who will be writing this legislation to get us more jobs, get us more paychecks. Pat Meehan, thank you so much for what you do and for being a member of this committee.